Here we are back working on the nitro. I got the top end. Top end's done. I think I've showed you all the videos of that. So I'm gonna get the valve cover put on. I've already got the valve train torqued down. I have some assembly lube in there. So that part's all done. We are gonna wrap some stuff. It was already wrapped. That's the job they did. So whoever built this, I get it. I think they were going for like get it together as quick as you can, get it on the mountain as quick as you can, and then just like run it hard, I'm assuming. But we're gonna do a little bit of a better job putting it together than what they did. We're gonna use I probably have the fasteners around here they just use regular old bolts and on the header here, and a couple of I think they did use exhaust bolts on a few of them, but a couple of them would come out. So we'll use stage 8 locking hardware on here. I was over at my cousin's house earlier. He is a 4-stroke guy also. I took a look at his turbo apex he's got. We're thinking about putting that turbo motor in something else. Here's a little video of his turbo apex. Here another 4-stroke is. Another boosted box. Is there a purple spring in there? Oh, you know it is. Because our stuff goes fast. Doesn't just look fast. Trust me, it is. This one makes the earth shake. With just a little disco potato. Little Garrett. I wouldn't say I'm reviving these old chassis, but that chassis that his apex is in, I say that his apex, it's apex chassis. So he's still rocking apex turbo motor and apex chassis, and the chassis, I rode it last year. It's tough. It's a tough chassis. So we're thinking about putting that in something else. Now, I know this has all been done, but here's where we're coming from. We're not trying to reinvent the wheel or build anything that has never been built before, although, you know, we might do some stuff like that. Maybe with a mini truck. Maybe I'll put one of these motors in the mini truck or something like that. But we're just trying to go and have fun at a decent price. Things have gotten so expensive lately that I had to shorten that bolt, as you can see there. We're just trying to go and have a good time without breaking the bank. So we're breaking out some of our old iron. We've been riding on some Skidoo Turbo 850s lately, you know, and those do it. They scratch the itch, but they don't make power like this does. Anybody that's actually been on one of these 4-strokes, they know that the Turbo 2-stroke, it'll scratch the itch, but that is it. Like there's no satisfaction like what this thing is able to do. This is just when you get up on one of these nitro motors, or when you get up on one of those apex motors at 15 or 16 pounds of boost, you know, and you look down and you're running about 75, 80 mile an hour track speed, and you are just motivating up the hill to where nice little tap on the brake at the top to slow down. That's pure satisfaction, and that's what these things provide. So that's why we're going back to these. We decided to break this out, try something different. We went down to go look at snow checking some new sleds, but man, we were like 27,000 out the door. You know, it's like, good God. I mean, as much as I love watching the videos of all these guys throwing money around like that, and I love watching the the new 858s show up and all that, like, holy cow. You know, an 858, you're what, like 15 grand plus the turbo. Turbo Dave. Not doing anything without a turbo. So, yeah, we're gonna throw the turbo on the old iron. We're gonna get the old iron going, and, you know, I'll shoot some video and show you guys what we got. So I think Yamaha actually makes some of this stuff. You can buy the Yamaha stuff. I think it actually calls for a little bit of this. But I do a little bit of this here. I'm using Black RTV. I'll do a little bit of it in here. And I'll do the same thing on the other side. I'll do a little bit in the half moons. I do think you can probably reuse. I think you could probably reuse that if you want to, but I remove any adhesive that's on here a couple days ahead of time, and then I hit it with a pretty aggressive cleaner to make sure I get that all the way off, and I use a new one. One reason that I use the new seals in these is just because, man, these you're burying this motor. You bury it so much that it just seems like you ought to do them. We will get our little trusty razor out. I think they put this here just so this doesn't get damaged. There's other things that are going here, but this comes off, so be careful, you know, when you're cutting this out. Take your time. Don't cut those ones. Go ahead and leave those ones right where they are. Those ones are just fine. So we got that in. This thing's all sitting in the way I want it to. I actually have nitro installation from Impulse all the way back from about 2012. 2012, I think, something like that. It's good to hang on to stuff like this. You never know when you're going to have to go back and redo one. So one of the things I didn't really, you know, when I'm talking about doing valve timing, you know, I just talk about it like everyone knows what it is that I'm talking about. You know, and let me be a little bit more clear. The reason on a turbo motor that we want to go and adjust the valve timing from a stock motor is because on a motor like this motor's tuned extremely well to run in stock trim. So what they do is they have some overlap in between when the exhaust valve opens and closes and when the intake valve opens and closes. And the reason that they have a little bit of overlap on the naturally aspirated motor is because they're wanting to create a Venturi effect inside of the cylinder, so that as the piston goes and draws in a breath, so it comes into its intake stroke, comes up into compression, it's going to fire, it's going to come down through the compression stroke, and as it's coming back up, it's going to open the exhaust valve. And it's going to allow that piston to push the exhaust gases out. Well, while that exhaust valve is open, the intake valve is also going to open, and it's going to open before the piston hits top dead center, and it's going to open for about a duration of 30 degrees while the exhaust valve is open. And the reason that they do that is because as the piston's coming up and it's forcing out all the exhaust gases, it creates a Venturi effect if done properly, and it helps suck in the new air charge. So for those 30 degrees, we have gases expelling that are doing a Venturi effect, and they're drawing in the fresh oxygen and the fresh fuel. And then after those 30 degrees of rotation, the exhaust valve comes shut, the intake valve stays open, and the rest of the charge draws into the chamber. That makes for an extremely well-running naturally aspirated motor. But the problem is, for our turbo application, is for those 30 degrees of rotation, as that piston's coming up and clearing the chamber, it's going to go and open the intake valve, and the turbocharger, especially at boost or especially coming into boost, that turbocharger is going to blow all of the exhaust gas right out right away. Just, it's going to wipe the chamber clean. It's going to wipe the cylinder clean. And it only takes about 5 or 6 degrees of rotation for that turbo to completely wipe the cylinder clean. So we have 20 more degrees of rotation on a turbo motor now, where my turbo's blowing all the power right out the back door. It's blowing all the good air and all that good charge right out of that exhaust valve. Now, mind you, these events are happening fast, especially at 8,000 RPMs, but this overlap is where the problem comes in. When we can get that overlap reduced to about 7 degrees, there's just a small bump where both valves are open at the same time, and during that small duration, that's why you heard me talking about rolling that exhaust valve forward, getting it to close a little bit sooner, because we only need that thing open for about 7 degrees. That's where we've got this set. That's where the timing jig sets this, 7 degrees of overlap. So when I'm talking about the relevance of cam timing, that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about not blowing the charge out the back door. We've used, instead of just putting new cam in, we've used the cams that we've got. We rolled that overlap away, and that is more beneficial for a turbo motor than what we had prior. So that is a quick, short detail. So we come down into the compression stroke, we're coming up, and then nice and early that exhaust valve opens, pushing the charge out, pushing the charge out. The very last moment, the intake valve opens, wipes the cylinder clean, exhaust valve shuts immediately after, and now we have 20 extra degrees where we're adding power, adding power, adding power, filling the cylinder, filling the cylinder. If we're doing it right, we're filling the cylinder with silky cold air, full of good feel, nice oxygen charge, and then, you know, you get horsepower out the back end, and you're not blowing all the power out the back door. So that's why we do a timing change when we do a turbo motor, is because we're looking for throttle response out of this thing, right? We want the power to come on hard. So a little extra work while we're putting it together on that timing end, and you're going to get a motor that's going to do a little bit more for you in the mountains. So anyways, the adjustment we've made on this is an adjustment that's going to make more power in the long run. I'm going to get to this torqued down. We're going to wrap the exhaust system, and we're going to get the exhaust system put on. I have to put the exhaust manifold on before this goes in the chassis because there's no room. That's why I say we're really getting to the point to where we're going to be burying this motor. So anyways, hope that wasn't too nerdy of an explanation on why I'm changing the timing, but that's why. What I'm doing that's been around since the 70s. So this is nothing new. This is business as usual for people that build motors.